All right, we are live on YouTube. Shalom and welcome. If you're joining us now, or you are live, or you are joining us another time, we wanna welcome you to our live stream. This is Jaw Radio Podcast, and we are looking into doing a series called Know Your Tribe. Yesterday we began with an introduction, and today we will continue by looking into the testament of Reuben. The testament of Reuben. So let's go to the testament of Reuben, taken from the testament of the 12 patriarchs. Shalom, Michael. Shalom, shalom, and welcome to you. Yeah, so we are in the testament of Reuben, the firstborn son of Jacob and Leah. Let me get over to the testament. And it begins, a copy of the testament of Reuben, the things which he commanded to his sons before he died, in the 125th year of his life. Now, one thing you find with the patriarchs, most of them died at 125 years old. Several of them, I don't know why that age is significant, but that is the age that it is given that most of them died. 2 years after the death of Joseph, his brother Reuben became sick, and there gathered to watch over him his sons and his sons' sons. Another significant thing about the patriarchs is that most of them died not sick, not being sick, being well. And they just knew that it was time for them to die, and they just called their sons. But we see Reuben here became sick. Now, a common thing in the patriarchs is that the patriarchs called their children, told their children what befell them, and warned their children not to be involved in similar things. And he said to them, "My children, behold, I am dying, and I am going the way of my fathers." When he saw Yehuda and Gad and Asher his brothers there, he said to them, "Raise me up, so that I can tell my brothers and my children the things that I have hidden in my heart, for behold, I am departing from you now." And when he was raised up, he kissed them and said to them, "Listen, my brothers and my sons, give heed to the things which I, Reuben, your father, command you. See here, I call the Elohim of Shamayim to bear witness to you this day, so that you will not behave yourselves in the ignorant ways of youth and sexual promiscuity, in which I indulged myself and defiled the marriage bed of my father Jacob." So Reuben went too far into his sexual explorations until he ended up messing around with Bilhah, his father's concubine. "But I tell you, he struck me with a severe wound in my loins for 7 months. And if my father Jacob had not prayed to Yahuwah on my behalf, Yahuwah would have destroyed me." 7 months he was afflicted in his loins. One thing about Yahuwah, there are several parts of the bodies, and different parts of the bodies are attached to different sins. So the groin area is attached to sexual sins. The liver is attached to a certain kind of sin. I think envy or something with the liver. Kidneys is attached to certain sins. The heart is attached to certain sins. That's just how the Most High makes us, because the wages of sin is death. So the relative sin that we commit will bring us to the death that we deserve because of our transgression. "For I was 30 years old when I committed this evil deed in the sight of Yahuwah, and for 7 months I was an invalid on the brink of death." You see how swiftly the Most High attacks? 30 years old. And after this, with determination of soul, for 7 years I repented before Yahuwah. So he was afflicted for 7 months, and he repented before Yahuwah for 7 years. I did not drink wine or liquor. Meat did not enter my mouth, and I did not eat any pleasurable food. Rather, I was mourning over my sin, since it was so great. Never had anything like it been done in Yasharal. You see that mourning there? And sometimes we do some things, and we do a little fast, and we do a little prayer, and we think we have done a lot. This man fasted for 7 years, not drinking wine or liquor, not eating meat, and not eating any pleasurable food, but mourning over his sin for 7 years. And when Jacob was pronouncing a blessing in Psalms 49, let's see what he did for Reuben. With all that Reuben did, let's see Psalms 49. Where is it? Not Psalms. What am I doing here? Genesis 49. Somebody must be listening to this and say, Genesis, not Psalms. Psalms 49.
Genesis 49.
Let's go to verse 2. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Yasharal, your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel. You see that? 7 years repenting, 7 years without wine, 7 years without pleasurable food, 7 years without meat, and still the judgment was that he would not excel. Because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it, he went up to my couch. Wow. Let's go back. And now give heed to me, my children, concerning the things which I saw during my time of penitence, concerning the 7 ruach of deceit. And by the way, we are also live on Jaw Radio. In case you are working, doing something, and you cannot look, you can listen on Jaw Radio. Concerning the 7 ruach of deceit. So he's telling you that there are 7 spirits of deceit. Now, the Bible, the Christianity has done us an evil in keeping these books from us, because these books speak about things that are not spoken about in the Bible. Reuben is going to tell you about the 7 ruach, or the 7 spirits of deceit. And he said, for 7 ruach are established against mankind, and they are the sources of the deeds of youth. You see the problems that young people have. 7 spirits are sent against them. Man, oh man. And guess what? 7 other ruach are given to man at creation, so that by them every human deed is done. First is the ruach of life, with which man is created as a composite being. The second is the ruach of seeing, with which comes desire. The third is the ruach of hearing, with which comes instruction. The fourth is the ruach of smell, with which is given taste for the drawing air and breath. The fifth is the ruach of speech, with which comes knowledge. The sixth is the ruach of taste for consuming food and drink, By it comes strength, because in food is the substance of strength. The seventh is the ruach of procreation and intercourse. This is a problem with young people, with which comes sins through fondness for pleasure. So this seventh ruach here is very interesting, procreation and intercourse, because it is so pleasurable. It comes with so much pleasure. Mankind sins there because of our fondness for pleasure. So this is why when we come to serve the Most High, we have to deny ourselves. Because as long as we love pleasure, and we have fondness for pleasure, and we are going after the pleasures, we are going to sin. For this reason, it was the last in the creation and the first in youth. Because it is filled with ignorance, it leads the young like a blind man into a ditch and like an animal over a cliff. Boy, this is why you have to speak to your children from they are young.
Yes, sir.
It's a great error to leave your children alone, because they are there alone and you're seeing them physically alone, but these 7 ruachot are with them. This special ruachot here of sexual intercourse is with them, bothering them, drawing them, urging them on for fondness of pleasure so that they can sin. In addition to all is an 8th ruach, sleep, with which is created the ecstasy of nature and the image of death. The ecstasy of nature. This is what is called wet dreams and the image of death. Yeah? These are dreams that you get in the night during your sleep. With these are commingled the ruachot of error. This is the greatest one. The ruachot, or the spirit of error. So the spirit of error just jumps right in between all of these to get us to go into error. That is why these poor young people, and if you are living in America, you send your children to prom. Where you get all of these? How are you to follow these foolishness? You wake up that you're an Israelite and you realize that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And you still take your children, sending them to prom on dates. My people, dates are not for our people. In the scriptures, when people were getting together, it's one thing, marriage. Have to. All right. Yes, I was talking about this. All right. Yes, I was talking about this date thing. When you come to the Most High now, my people. When you come to the Most High now, my people, you have to know how the thing is. In the scriptures, when Isaac got Rebekah, what happened? Abraham sent someone to his family, and they came back. They made Yahuwah be the center of it all, because Abraham's servant went, and Abraham's servant prayed to Yahuwah, and Yahuwah gave him a sign, and Rebekah was the one who matched the sign. And he brought her to Isaac. And that was Isaac's wife. Yes? That was Isaac's wife. But what do we do today? We take our children and sacrifice them to lust. We take them, send them on dates. We don't even know what happens on the dates. Take them and send them on dates. Your child going out alone with this man. I remember when I was young. When I was young, the grandparents would be there. You want to meet somebody, the parents will be there with you. You are not alone with that person. You see, people, we have to go back to the old path, which is a good way. When you send your children on dates, when you send them to prom your daughter to prom with a boy, all of those things, playing out, you are stirring up lust in that girl. Stirring up lust. Your daughter, our daughters should be set apart and set aside and know that it is marriage and nothing else before intercourse. Yes? We have to go back to the old path, which is the good way. That just came to mind, so I say, let me say it. So with these are commingled the ruach of error. First, the ruach of promiscuity resides in the nature and the senses. In the nature and the senses. So, like when I was young, you get up every day seeking how you can satisfy this ruach of promiscuity. A second ruach of insatiability in the stomach, which means that you cannot be satisfied. A third ruach of strife in the liver. There we go. Liver and the gall. So when you are in strife with people, it's going to affect your liver. A trickery, in order that through excessive effort one might appear to be at the height of his power. So all of these things now, when it comes to sex, a ruach of insatiability, that means you cannot be satisfied. That is why they call some women nymphomaniacs. They cannot be satisfied. It's a ruach that's doing that. A third ruach of strife, arguments and all of those things. A fourth ruach of flattery and trickery. So we tell the person what they want to hear. Flatter them. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so nice. Oh, there's no one like you. Trickery. In order that through excessive effort one might appear to be at the height of his powers. So you go around and you conquer from one to the other. A fifth ruach of arrogance, that one might be boastful and haughty. So this is why people, as believers, we don't go around and speak about our sexual prowess or even things that we did in the past. You know, as I see this one, I saw a girl the other day. Said she was a lesbian and she's now a singer. And she put out something, says she's giving testimony. And in her testimony, she says, first time I kissed a girl. I'm like, what is that? The first time I kiss a girl. Then when someone now who has never done that, when they hear that, their sinful nature is going to be stirred up. The law of sin and death. That which you know that you should not do, that's what you're going to do. So I messaged her and told her what I'm saying, that might stir up something in someone. She wrote me back a long thing as usual. Well, you can't correct people, everybody knows. She wrote back a long thing that it is a testimony and her testimony helps someone. Now, I'm not telling you not to tell your testimony. But when you go into details, sexual details, that can stir up lust in someone. Yes, remember, we are believers and some of us have not been active for years. And some of us might be burning. Then when you stir that up in someone, what is going to happen? Anyway, that was just something passing. So, let me continue. So for those people having challenges sexually, this one is for you. A fifth ruach of arrogance, that one might be boastful and haughty. A sixth ruach of lying. Man, I know this one. Lying. Telling people what they want to hear so that you can have them. which through destructiveness and rivalry handles his affairs smoothly and secretively, even with his relatives and his household. A seventh ruach of injustice, with which are dealings. So these are all evil ruach. This ruach of arrogance is pride, yes? The fifth one. A seventh ruach, and the ruach of insatiability, by the way, that has to do also with food. In the stomach. So you cannot have enough, just keep eating and eating. So a seventh ruach of injustice, which are thefts and crooked dealings. I did that? Yeah. That one might gain his heart's desire. So no matter what injustice, as long as we get our heart's desire, it doesn't matter to us. For injustice works together with the other ruach through acceptance of bribes. And thus every young man is destroyed. Oh boy. Darkening his mind from the truth, neither gaining understanding in the Torah of Elohim, nor heeding the others. Just this was my plight in my youth. Wow. And you know, we lived these lives when we were youths, never obeying our parents. Now, when we come into this now, we have children, we want them to obey us. Very difficult if we did not do it to have it done to us. And now, my children, love truth and she will preserve you. Truth. So what rescues the children is truth. Give heed to the words of Reuben, your father. Do not devote your attention to a woman's looks. This is why the people of old had successful relationships. It was not based on looks. We today base our relationships on looks, on lust. Yeah. All right. Something is off. Okay, the radio is off. Internet. I only hope. Let me see if YouTube, is YouTube still on? This internet here is so terrible. Let me see what's going on. Is the internet still on or it's still live? All right, thank you very much. Yep. Where am I? Sorry about that. Yes, this is a problem with us today, people. We focus too much on looks because we have been nurtured in dating, in which we go after lust, how a person looks. Those people back in the days, it was about the quality of the woman. It was about which family she came from. And there still is today, even in some African countries, a woman's value is based on the family from which she comes. And she is celebrated. A virgin that comes from a good family is celebrated and much sought after. You have to bring a lot of cows to get that woman. She might not be the most physically beautiful woman, but they know that it is DNA. Yes, sir. That is important. What comes down from the fathers, the family that she's from. We today do not look on that. The person has to look how we look, how we want them to look. And it must be someone that when we go out, people say, oh, your wife is so beautiful, and all of that. But the Most High looks. Eh? Yes. Anyway, for if I had not seen Bilhah bathing in a sheltered place, I would not have fallen into this Torahless act. You see? Focusing on a woman's look. For so absorbed were my senses by her naked femininity that I was not able to sleep until I had performed this revolting act. And this is how all these spirits get you. They make you so restless, so miserable, until you have done the act. And guess what? After you finish the act, what is it? You still feel terrible because you now feel that you have done something wrong. And then your conscience now starts coming in. Verse 13. While our father Jacob had gone off to visit his father Isaac or Yitzchak, and we were at Gader near Ephrathah in Bethlehem, Bilhah became drunk and was sound asleep naked in her bedchamber. Drunk. Danger of wine. And Judah, eventually, Yahuwah willing, will get to Judah, who will tell you about this wine. So when I came in and saw her nakedness, I performed the impious deed without her being aware of it, leaving her sleeping soundly. I went out. What a bad boy you were, Reuben. This is your father. And immediately a messenger from Elohim revealed it to my father. He came and made lamentation over me and never again touched her. Do not devote your attention to the beauty of women. My children, nor occupy your minds with their activities, but live in integrity of heart, in the fear of Yahuwah, and weary yourself in good deeds, in learning and in tending your flocks, until Yahuwah gives you the mate whom he wills, so that you do not suffer as I did. You see that? The reason most of us have miserable lives is that we are programmed that at a certain age we have to go after a woman. We have to have a wife. We said, don't pay attention to their beauty, nor occupy your minds with their activities, but live in integrity of heart, in the fear of Yahuwah, and weary yourself in good deeds, in learning and in tending your flocks, until Yahuwah gives you the mate whom he wills, so that you do not suffer as I did. This is when Yahuwah puts two people together, as he did Isaac and Rebekah, which is my prime example. For until my father's death, I never had the courage to look him in the face or speak to any of my brothers because of my disgraceful act. Even until now, my conscience harassed me because of my impious act. That was 30 minus 1, 25. 95 years after, his conscience is still on him. And he repented for 7 years. This is why we need to flee from sin. If you're a young person listening to this, don't ever venture into any sin. Any sin that you are drawn into, please flee away from it. And yet my father consoled me greatly and prayed to Yahuwah on my behalf, so that Yahuwah's anger would pass me by. Which is just how Yahuwah treated me. From that time until now, I have kept a careful watch and have not sinned. Whoa! 95 years. And he did not sin. And Jacob pronounced on him, said, you will not excel. You see how dangerous sin is? Dangerous. When I read these things, I quake. So then, my children, observe all the things that I command you, and do not sin. For the sin of promiscuity is the pitfall of life, separating man from Elohim and leading on toward idolatry. Because it is the deceiver of the mind and the perceptions, and leads youths down to hell before their time. I can tell you how promiscuity wrecked my life and was the centerpiece of my life for so many years. Wow. The pitfall of life separating man from Elohim. No wonder, during my years of promiscuity, I never wanted to hear anything about Yahuwah. You see it? I never wanted to hear anything about Yahuwah. All I wanted was to have fun. And it says, and leading on toward idolatry. Because it is the deceiver of the mind and the perceptions. That is why we never wanted to hear anything about Yahuwah. Our minds were deceived, and we could not perceive. And we were on our way to hell. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father, for rescuing me. For promiscuity has destroyed many. Whether a man is old, well-born, rich or poor, he brings on himself disgrace among mankind and provides Satan with an opportunity to cause him to stumble. Of course, today it is so commonplace for people to be promiscuous. It's no longer a disgrace. Back in those days, it was a disgrace. But now, promiscuity is a way of life. You heard how Joseph protected himself from a woman and purified his mind from all promiscuity. He found favor before Elohim and men. For the Egyptian woman did many things to him, summoned magicians and brought potions for him, but his soul's deliberation rejected evil desire. Here we see, look at this now, people. This is why when people do witchcraft on us, yeah? If we are solidly grounded in the Most High, it cannot do us anything. This woman did many things, summoned magicians and brought potions. And I remember in the testament of Joseph, at one account, it tells that this woman gave Joseph the potion. And Joseph said, I'm going to drink it and show you that you cannot do me anything. Yeah? Because when your soul is right, and it says it in the book of the Testament of Joseph, when your soul is right with the Most High, and no evil can touch us. For this reason, the Elohim of our fathers rescued him from every visible or hidden death. Because he resisted promiscuity. What is happening to us today? Let me stop and pause at 10. What happens today? We have promiscuity paraded as righteousness. We have our brothers in the Hebrew Israelite movement speaking and promoting polygyny. That is promiscuity. The Apostle Shaul spoke and said, he wishes that everyone was like him. Like how he's talking about intercourse. Let me go and listen to Shaul in 1 Corinthians 7 here. Our Hebrew Israelite brothers hear and read these things, and yet still their sexual desires. Their sexual desires. Push them on. 1 Corinthians 7:7. For I would that all men were even as I myself. As I myself. Without any woman. Seeking the Most High and serving the Most High. With no woman on the mind. But every man hath his proper gift of allure. One after this manner and another after that. So everyone cannot be like that. Shaul was saying, everyone cannot be like me. I said therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. Shaul is saying it's good for you if you remain single. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. So Shaul is speaking about one man, one woman, in which the purpose of marriage would be to prevent us from burning. And what do the Hebrew Israelites do? And there's another one again. There's another part of it. Blah, 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 blah. Where is it again? No, there's another part of it that speaks about that same thing. But anyway, what do the Hebrew Israelites say? The Hebrew Israelites say polygyny. Abraham had more than one wife. David had more than one wife. Shlomo had more than one wife. Yes? And so I want my share. I want my wives. Oh boy. This desire for wives is getting our brothers into promiscuity. Now Shaul spoke and said a word. 1 Corinthians 6 verse 12. Shaul was speaking about fleeing sexual immorality. And Shaul said, all things are lawful unto me, because what the Hebrew Israelite brothers, what they will tell you is that it is not a sin to have more than one wife. That is their thing. Their thing is, if the word say it is a sin, then don't do it. But if it is not a sin, don't do it. But in the new covenant, in which we are rejecting the flesh, denying the self, it is not expedient to have more than one wives. That's why Shaul said he wished that everyone was like him. That's the covenant that we are in which we are walking in the Ruach, in which we are seeking out the things of the Ruach, not the things of the flesh. Yeah? Oh boy. Let me get another word in there. Shaul again. Where are we now? Romans 8 verse 9. We're going to go back. Let's just finish 1 Corinthians 6 verse 12. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. That word there, expedient, that is the word against their, what you call it? Their polygyny. Yeah? And expedient there means good. Let me get the true meaning of expedient from the dictionary. So, because of our brothers are carnal and lustful, they are going against everything that Reuben is actually preaching. Expedient means suitable for achieving a particular end in a given circumstance. In other words, suitable for salvation, because that is the end that Shaul is speaking about. So polygyny is not expedient. It is not expedient. It is not suitable for a particular end, for the end that we want, which is salvation. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. I will not be brought under the power of the spirit of promiscuity by piling on to myself wives. I am afraid to even pile on one, not pile on, to add one, much less to add 2, 3. What is wrong with our brothers? It is because they are in the flesh. Romans 8, verse 9. Verse 5. Look at this now. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the ruach, the things of the ruach. This is it. This is the expedience.
Yes, sir.
It is not expedient to be adding wives because that is satisfying the flesh. That is going after the flesh. And if you go after the flesh, you are going to mind the things of the flesh. Simple. No, it doesn't stop there. For to be carnally minded is death. So going around seeking to satisfy the things of the flesh, it says it's death. But to be spiritually minded is life and peace. You see why it is not expedient to be piling on wives? Because the carnal mind is enmity against Alua. So when you're going after the flesh, it says you're enemy against Yahuwah. So those brothers who are going there, going after the flesh, going after adding wives, going around contacting women on social media, asking them if they have a covering. And guess what? They have social media wives. I hear some of them speak. And I heard that woman giving a testimony. And the woman said how long they were married, but they didn't actually meet. So communicating on Facebook, and that is my wife. Until the time comes, and that person who she was speaking about had several wives already. So what they do, they go on Facebook like snipers. And they go after the women who don't have husbands. Introduce them to Hebrew Israelism. And pile them up. Add them to their list. Carnal. The spirit of promiscuity. Carnally minded. Enmity with Alua. Thinking and going around there preaching the things of Yahuwah. I tell you. Because the carnal mind is enmity against Alua. For it is not subject to the law of Alua, neither indeed can be. If you are in the flesh, you cannot be subject to the law of Yahuwah, because the law is spiritual and I am carnal. So because I am carnal, I have to now become spiritual to walk in the spirit of the law, because the law is spiritual. How can you become spiritual or walk in the spirit if you are walking after your lusts? And look at what verse 8 says. So then, they that are in the flesh cannot please Alua. This is why Shaul said, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient, people. That's why he said it. Because it's lawful, yes, but it's not expedient in this covenant. It is not subject to the law of Alua, neither indeed can be. So we cannot please Alua when we are going after the flesh. Yes, you don't have a partner, and you feel like having a partner. Go get a partner. But don't add 2 and 3 and 4. And Hamashiach himself said it. Hamashiach said, in the beginning it was not so. When they asked him about divorce, he says, in the beginning it was not so. And he says, a man and a woman, the man shall leave his family and go, and he and the woman shall become one. And he didn't say he and the woman, he says, they twain, they two shall become one. Not they 3 or they 4, they 2. You see, but you who are satisfied with your one wife, one husband, or not having any at all, this was no for you. But you are not in the flesh. This is not for you, Mr. Polygyny, Mr. Multiple Wives. But ye are not in the flesh. And this is the thing that they can't understand. You know, I think we did a teaching on it. Every covenant requires a higher level of sacrifice than the one before. Every covenant brings us to a higher level. We use the example of Abraham. Abraham married to his sister, his half-sister, Sarah, and it was not a sin. But by the time Moses came with the law, to marry your sister now became a sin. Yes? That is why it was not a sin for Moses to be married to the Egyptian or the Cushite woman. Because the Torah was not yet given. So you must not give your sons to their daughters and their daughters to their sons. But if Moses had done it after the Torah, it would have been sin. Likewise for us, the new covenant requires a higher level of righteousness than the one before. Understand that. You cannot just pick up the law and say, okay, the law says this and so we do it. No. Why do you think Hamashiach came and said, it has been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but I say. Why do you think he came and said, it has been said, thou shalt not commit adultery, but I say. Yes? It has been said, love your neighbor and hate thine enemy, but I say. Why do you think? It's a higher call to righteousness. So in our covenant, we are called to reject carnality, to reject the desires of the flesh, the promiscuous sexual desires that Reuben is still talking to us about. But hear this. But you are not in the flesh, verse 9 of Romans 8, but in the Ruach, if so be that the Ruach of Allah dwell in you. Hey. Can you answer this song, please? If so be that the Ruach of Yahuwah dwell in you. Just tell him I'm on the radio and to make it sure. Yeah. Now, if any man have not the Ruach of Hamashiach, he is none of his. Yes, okay. Only hope it does not get cut off. It's off? Yeah, just put it on top of that. Yeah, I figured as much. All right, so sorry about that. Are we still on? Because when this thing rings, let me try. Oh, it's still on. All right? Where was I? Yes. So, verse 9. You are not in the flesh, but in the Ruach. If so be that the Ruach of Allah dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the Ruach of Hamashiach, he is none of his. You see? This is where multiple wives destroys us. Hamashiach did not have multiple wives. He did not teach multiple wives. He said, let me get what he said, because I'm not good at remembering these verses exactly, you see? And I don't want to mess up the Most High's word. All right. Matthew 19, verse 4. What's wrong? Man. I'm on the radio. Matthew 19. I'm on the radio. Huh? Hello? Yeah. Oh, so sorry about that. Oh. All right, somebody said, so you're saying Yahuwah allowed it in the law because the men were promiscuous, or was it for multiplication purposes? It was allowed in the law, and we're going to see the reason why now. Matthew 19 is going to tell us why it was allowed. No, it's not in Matthew 19, he told us that. Mark 10, let me see. Yes, Mark 10, verse 2. And the Pharisees came to him and asked him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife? Tempting him. And he answered and said unto them, what did Moses command you? And they said, Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement and to put her away. And Yahusha answered and said unto them, for the hardness of your heart, he wrote you this precept. So this is the answer here. Set apart assembly of Yeshua HaMashiach. For the hardness of your hearts, he wrote you this precept. But from the beginning of the creation of Alua made them male and female. For this cause shall a man, one man, leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, one woman, one man. And they twain, they two, shall be one flesh. Not they three, they four, they five, they six, they seven, one flesh. They twain. So then they are no more twain, they are no more two, but one flesh. What therefore Allah hath joined together, let no man put asunder. So when the Most High joins two people together, and you bring one in the middle, what do? You're breaking it asunder. Error. So let me go back to Romans 8. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Ruach, if so be that the Ruach of Allah dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the Ruach of Hamashiach, he is none of his. So if you have that Ruach of Hamashiach, you are not going to want, are not going to have this desire for multiple wives. You're going to have the desire to walk according to the instructions of Hamashiach. So let me tell you something. Anyone now today, and I'll tell you this, anyone today who has multiple wives, the Ruach of Hamashiach is not in them. Anyone today who is desiring and going after multiple wives, the Ruach Mashiach is not in them. If they had multiple wives before they came to Hamashiach, yes, well, I don't know. But anyone who is going after this, the Ruach Mashiach is not in them. Anyway, so let's get back to Reuben. Let's go back to the testament of Reuben. All right. For this reason, the Elohim of our fathers rescued him from every visible or hidden death. For if promiscuity does not triumph over your reason, then neither can Belial, Satan, conquer you. Therefore, if promiscuity triumphs over you, then Satan has conquered you. Look at it. Let me read it again. For if promiscuity does not triumph over your reason, then neither can Belial conquer you. Satan cannot conquer you. So if promiscuity, you're with no multiple wives and your promiscuity, Satan will conquer you. Now hear this, and I'm very sorry, ladies, sisters, I did not write this. As you come in, Nomsizi, hear this. For women are evil, my children. I did not write it. It's Reuben who is saying it. For women are evil, my children, and by reason of their lacking authority or power over man, they scheme treacherously how they might entice him to themselves by means of their looks. Because they don't have the power, they say, you know, I have to conquer him. What do I have? My looks. Man, he's weak to my looks. And that is how women conquer the men. So, it has been my experience, women and men, it has been my experience that the women have power over the men, no matter how long they are married for. I don't know what in the woman that makes me now a believer. You know, if a woman has triumphs over you as a believer, you know that you're a failure. Because when I come to the Most High now, even if this woman had power over me, I have to deny myself and I have to deny her. Because Hamashiach told me that if any man hate not, here's where you're falling short. You husband whose wife has power over you. Here is where you fall short. If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. Here is where you falter, Mr. Man out there, whose wife has power over you. This is where you falter. You have to reach to the point where that's it. And I can't understand. You are in the way and your wife is in the way with you. Yet still your wife is ruling you. How does that add up? Some people are even assemblies. And your wife is ruling you in the assembly. And the assembly is about the man, the woman being in subjection to the man. Because that woman secretly goes behind when you are in the room alone or wherever you are alone. Secretly goes and uses her charms on you. That the same charms that Reuben is talking about now. And you being weak, allow the woman to do that. Anyway. Set apart assembly says he disagree. Even though I know you will disagree, lustful person. I know you're going to disagree. When you come to serve Yahuwah, you have to reject everything. Everything. How are you going to have multiple wives? Look here now. Matthew 16:24. Then said Yahushua unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake and follow me. Let me tell you something, sir. On this channel here, we preach following Yahushua HaMashiach. We preach giving up everything to serve him. We don't preach religion. We don't preach religion. We don't preach religion. We preach giving up everything to serve Yahuwah. And that everything means adding and piling on women. How can you be piling on women and deny yourself? How can you deny yourself and you're piling on sexual lust? And stop, let me tell you something. Stop teaching. I'll tell you something. Stop teaching over me because you're distracting me. I'm telling you. Yeah. If you're watching this, you watch it, please. And be quiet. Because you're distracting me. Because I don't teach carnal religion. I don't teach your church religion. We don't teach that. We teach giving up everything to serve Yahuwah. And that is what you get here. This is a channel for the elect. Those people who are willing to just give up their lives, this is who it is for. Not for those who catch 1 foot in, the double-minded people. 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Take part in the world and then take part in Yahuwah. And these are you who go about and you chat all sorts of things and eventually ended up deceiving people, giving people what they want to hear. Carnal religion. Yeah, let me tell you something here. I'm trying to get this person here. All right. I'm going to have to learn to monitor the chat. I'm going to have to put somebody to monitor the chat. All right? Let me continue with Reuben. Too many times I've had things and people are just teaching over with their garbage. Because y'all don't understand. You're famine of the word. You are the people who are perpetrating evil. Leading our people to sin by telling them carnal things that they like. Carnal things. Let me continue. Time is running out. I don't have time for foolishness. And whom they cannot enchant by their appearance, they conquer by a stratagem. So imagine a woman is a battle. Because the woman cannot conquer you. The woman is going to use strategy to conquer you. Imagine two women together against you. How can you serve the Most High in that way? One woman is trying strategy and sometimes they combine against you. Because I've seen it online. Where more than one wife turn against the husband. How can you serve Yahusha with that? Impossible. Stratagem. Trickery. And this is how the woman comes. So you man out there, if your wife is controlling you or in lead, as I told people before, Yahusha was sent to bring us back to perfection. In 2 Corinthians 5, I think about verse 19, it says, to wit, Yahuwah was in Yahusha reconciling the world unto himself. Yahusha is there to reconcile us back to Adam. So if your wife is conquering you, that means Eve has conquered you. You have to be leading your wife. And that is why no polygamy, because it's an Adam and Eve thing in the end. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. It's an Adam and Eve thing. Those days of David and Shulamar, those days are over. Because it's a return to pure righteousness. And this covenant requires more than the old covenant. 5:4. For a woman is not able to coerce a man overtly. What is the chat here? Let me go. For a woman is not able to coerce a man overtly, but by a harlot's manner she accomplishes her villainy. Sometimes you see the woman come in and she start blink and wink her eye. Yeah? You know what's up. You know what's up. Trickery. Don't let them fool you. Or even try to school you. Oh no. Woman. So you are there battling one. And you want to pile on more. Don't get me wrong. You see, when a woman in Yahuwah, her heart is converted. You can't want a better woman. When a woman is at the right place in subjection and everything, you can't want a better person than that. But the sad thing is, there are very few who are like that. Very few. Because from my experience, all the ones I've come upon, They talk the talk and they walk the walk, but they always try to conquer the man. And they always seem to succeed. Men in Yahuwah, what is wrong with you? Why are you making the woman conquer you? You're not supposed to be led by feelings. You are supposed to be led by the Ruach. And that shows that you are in the flesh. It shows that you are not walking in the Ruach. So listen, your conscience. Think, is this woman ruling me? If she is, you're not led by the Ruach Mashiach. If any man hath not the Ruach Mashiach, he is none of his. Let me continue. Accordingly, my children, flee from sexual promiscuity. What does this word promiscuity mean? Because I need to get it exact. Because it keeps being used. And I can bet you that this is going to deal with their carnality in multiple wives. All right. Promiscuity. Promiscuous sexual behavior. You're right. Let's go to the meaning of promiscuous. I told you it would destroy their multiple wives. Promiscuous means having or involving many sexual partners. Not restricting to one sexual partner or few sexual partners. That's it. Not restricted to one. And it even says not restricted to few. But for our purpose and for the context in which it is, it means not restricted to one. Accordingly, my children, flee from sexual promiscuity and order your wives and your daughters not to adorn their heads and their appearances so as to deceive men's sound minds. And from we were born, we train our daughters. Have you ever been to certain places and you see all the girls in short shorts? Little 6-year-old, 7-year-old short shorts. Yes. And with jewelry and with their hair done up. 7, 8-year-old. Eh? Offering our children to Moloch. Preparing our children for, and when they become teenagers and they are sexually active and they get pregnant, you start bawling out. I don't know why this and that. It's because you trained that girl from she was young. And the boys are the same. While the boys young, gold chain, dressing them haircut like adult, like the 20-odd-year-old men. In rings and everything from they were young. Treating them, calling them Mr. Man, Mr. Man, or Big Man, and all of those things. Eh? Accordingly, my children, flee from sexual promiscuity and order your wives and your daughters not to adorn their heads and their appearances so as to deceive men's sound minds. This is why we have head covering. This is why we have head covering. Your head is your splendor, Shaul says, your glory. So you cover your splendor. Humility. That is why Kepha said the woman must adorn herself in modest apparel. For every woman who schemes in these ways is destined for eternal punishment. And then the woman now start question. Oh, why do I have to dress in long dress? Why do I have to put on a head covering? Oh, the head covering doesn't mean that you cover your head. Every woman who schemes in these ways is destined for eternal punishment. To avoid that, adorn yourself in modest apparel. Let's go there. 1 Timothy 2, verse 9. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety or self-control, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becometh woman professing holiness with good works. So you see, the woman must adorn herself in humility, modestly, in humility, in self-control. All right? Where was I? For it was thus that they charmed the watchers who were before the flood. As they continued looking at the woman, they were filled with desire for them and perpetrated the act in their minds. Then they were transformed into human males, and while the women were cohabiting with their husbands, they appeared to them. Since the women's minds were filled with lust for these apparitions, they gave birth to giants. For the watchers were disclosed to them as being as high as the Shamayim. So you see, think about the virgin birth here. Think about the virgin birth, you virgin birthers. Think about this virgin birth. The angels did not have sex with the women. The women were having sex with who? Their husbands. And they saw the angels and thought on them. And they gave birth to giants. For the watchers were disclosed to them as being as high as the Shamayim. So guard yourselves against sexual promiscuity. You see how long Reuben has been talking about this? And if you want to remain pure in your mind, protect your senses from women. If you want to remain pure in your mind. What did I just say? If you want to remain what? Pure in your mind. Let's go to Acts. No, not Acts. I'm going to show you the verse that comes to mind. Titus 1 verse 15. Let me read that again and then, where was I again? So guard yourself against sexual promiscuity, and if you want to remain pure in your mind, protect your senses from women. One wife or no wife. That's the only way you can protect your senses from women. So if you want to remain pure, and what is the significance of remaining pure? Titus 1 verse 15. Unto the pure all things are pure. You see it? But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure. So if you don't guard your senses from women, you are not going to remain pure. You are going to be defiled. Unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled. So if we are not pure, our mind and our conscience is going to be defiled. Let me continue. And tell them not to consort with men, so that they too might be pure in their minds. For evil, recurrent chance meetings, although the impious act itself is not committed, are for these women an incurable disease, but for us they are the plague of Satan and an eternal disgrace. I'm trying to see if I can finish it. Oh yes, I will be able to finish it. Because in sexual promiscuity there is a place for neither understanding nor holiness, and every passion dwells in its desire. So you're going around choosing and adding women. It says there is no place for understanding nor holiness. And every passion dwells in its desire. Jealousy, hatred, envy, deception, every single passion, trickery, every single passion lies there. For this reason I say to you, you will vie with the sons of Levi, or Levi, and will seek to be exalted above them, but you will not be able. For Elohim will perform vengeance in their behalf, and you will die an evil death. His children is telling this. This is why we spoke yesterday of DNA. These things run through the DNA. They will vie with Levi. Since Elohim gave Levi the authority, and to Yehuda with him, to be rulers. To be rulers. So Judah and Levi go together. Reuben is going to try to usurp Levi. It is for this reason that I command you to give heed to Levi, or Levi, because he will know the Torah of Elohim and will give instructions concerning justice and concerning sacrifice for Yasharal until the consummation of times. He is the anointed priest of whom Yahuwah spoke. Levi. I call to witness the Elohim of Shemahim that you do the truth, each to his neighbor, and that you show love, each to his brother. Draw near to Levi, or Levi, in humility of your hearts, in order that you may receive blessing from his mouth. You see how important Levi is and how powerful Levi is? And you're going to see this consistently. Don't go against Levi and Judah, but especially Levi. Especially Levi. It is telling all of them, don't go and run upon Levi. Because to him belongs the priesthood. Draw near to Levi in humility of your hearts, in order that you may receive barakah from his mouth. For he will barak Yasharal and Yehuda, since it is through him that Yahuwah has chosen to reign in the presence of all the people. Prostrate yourselves before his posterity, because his offsprings will die on your behalf in wars, visible and invisible, and he shall be among you an eternal king. And Reuben died, having spoken these commands to his sons. And they placed him in a coffin until they carried him up from Mitzrayim and buried him in Hebron in the cave where his father was. Hereby ends the testimony of Reuben. I kind of hurried the last part of it. Let me see how much time we did. I can go back and do a little bit of the last part. So he was telling Reuben about Levi. I don't know why Reuben would have such a problem with Levi, but verse 11 says, he will barak Yasharal and Yehuda, since it is through him that Yahuwah has chosen to reign in the presence of all the people. Prostrate yourself before his posterity, because his offspring will die on your behalf in wars invisible and visible. That is speaking about Yahusha HaMashiach. Yahusha HaMashiach, mother, Levi, father, Judah. And he shall be among you an eternal king. This is HaMashiach. So, a thing about the patriarchs, all of them spoke about Yahusha HaMashiach before they died. So all those Old Testament only people, they did not speak about nothing or anything. You see, the Old Testament only people, they hold on to the 66 books. They are just as bad as the Christians. Because in Daniel it tells you that shut up the books until the end. And yet still, you can't even realize that these books were shut up till the end. And these books are speaking about HaMashiach. Anyway, sexual promiscuity from Reuben. This is the scourge of the Reubenites. And it's not only the Reubenites. Judah, I think Dan, and some other ones. Sexual promiscuity is a problem. Big problem. All right? So shalom and thank you all for watching as we continue the Testament series. Today we did the Testament of Reuben. Yahuwah willing, tomorrow, Yahuwah willing, we will continue in the Testament of Shimon. Shalom to Mike, Shamarion, Steve P, McNair, Radcliffe, Jeff, Janelle, T, Crown Vic 2.0, Jamin Mayer, Steve P, Dwinda Kelly, Just Do, Jamie, Seven My Angel, Wesley, Set Apart Assembly of Yahusha Mashiach. Man, you talk. Rachel, B. All right, let me see what's on. The King's Daughter, shalom to you. Let me see if anyone has anything to say apart. When I first read this about sight, seeing, hearing, tasting, and touch, a light bulb turned on because we were taught they were the five senses, but they are ruachot. I thank Abba Yahuwah for this. Yes, Shamarion. All right. Jamie, coming from a 50 who is still innocent, a big part of what has taken my mind away from women and interest in relationship is women nowadays have no love for a Mashiach. That's it. Most women in my generation, sorry, not all women. Yeah, not all women. You have good ones. Yeah. And I have accepted the only relationship I will die in is a Mashiach and Yahuwah, as I'm sure we are in the end times. Yeah. All right. All right, Janelle. All right, thank you all for listening and or watching. Shalom, 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 shalom. Do join me tomorrow, Yahuwah willing. We will be here, not a promise, because if I say will be here and I am not here, I make myself a liar, and I do not want to be a liar. Only hope you got insights into this. All praises to the Most High. Shalom.